All right, good brother. So, what we going back to now?
You asked me a question earlier about social media.
Yeah.
I don't think you. I wanted you to ask the question again so I can get your full question.
Okay.
What it was regards to, how it plays a part in relationships or with your children.
Okay. So, what role do you think social media plays in your relationship? Let's start with that one. In your male to female relationship, if I could say that. Some people get
Well, I'm
upset with
I'm
that.
single, but I feel like social media it opens up a gauntlet of opportunity that wasn't always there. Um, you know, I've lived more than half of my life without social media than I have with social media. So
Likewise.
the way I look at social media is not the same as somebody who was 20 years old,
Right.
because that's all
That's
they
their
know.
life. Yeah.
Right. So I'm just gonna say, it appeared as though, when there was a lot less options and there was a lot less access, that relationships were doing better. We see relationships doing worse
With
since the
more
rise of
options.
social media. So I would say it's more of a problem,
More of a problem than a.
especially when you're dealing with people who may not be secure. Social media could
Self
be an
haters.
everyday argument in somebody's household.
This is true. Absolutely. So you think the fact that people got more options that played a part in their self image maybe, like they start to see themselves as more valuable being that they have more options via social media.
Mm, no, I mean like being in the relationship, right?
Uh huh.
The temptation, the temptations are more forefront. Like I can literally just pick up my phone and scroll down my timeline,
Right.
and there's gonna be beautiful women down my timeline. And if I wanna DM one of them, I have the option to do that. But
Right.
back in the day,
You had to go out there and
you
do some
didn't.
footwork.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had to see somebody in person to
Right.
speak to them. So I think, this created more access. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna say definitely more options, because if you know us as men, we don't really have as many options as women.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. They got way more options. So I think again, it's a unique problem, and I think the solution would be more like, do you? All right. So let me formulate it in the question, right? Being that it's more access and there's more options on the table for men or women, does that require them to have more discipline?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You gotta have more discipline, because that you can't act on everything that you're attracted to, or that you're lusting after. Yeah, everything. Like the way I live my life, everything takes discipline.
Everything takes discipline.
Discipline should be involved in your regimen. This is a word that we've used more times in the podcast than probably any other word.
This is
It's an
true.
important word.
One of the most important words, in my personal opinion, having that discipline. I think another unique issue before we get to your other question, your other post rather, is I see that social media has put together a certain lifestyle that a lot of people are chasing, and they out there trying to get it by any means necessary. But I think like that lack of discipline has them trying to move with it just way too fast. It's to a point now where you got men getting injections to have their body built up. You got women financing their bodies now just to appear to a certain audience of people that have money, or a certain woman that looks a certain way or something like that. Like I think people seeing things like that on social media has like rapidly increased the mindset to want to get to that lifestyle. Fact, I'm not mad at people for chasing a lifestyle, but if it takes you outside of that discipline, I think something is wrong with that.
Listen, what people need to understand about that lifestyle, and I can debunk that because I'm in the entertainment business, a lot of that is just for show,
Right.
honestly. Like, even for the fellas out there who can scroll down their timeline and see all these beautiful women and they got the bodies done and this and that. I know for a fact that some of them are sleeping on somebody else's couch.
Okay. Wow.
So you can't. Social media is a facade to present what you want to present yourself to the world as.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
You can show them whatever you want to show them.
Exactly. If I'm a producer, I can post my beats all day, and I can post pictures with other rappers, and I can post things that make me look favorable, make it appear as though I'm doing things. It's not that I'm not doing things, but social media, the entertainment business, period, a lot of it is about perception, about how the consumer perceives you.
Right.
They don't really know you. It's how they perceive you.
How do they? And just to go back to what we was talking about earlier, just so y'all know, I told my good brother that I don't come into the podcast or any episode writing down any questions. I prefer to have an organic conversation, because if I was to see you on the street, I'm not going to ask you a question that I wrote down. I'm like, yo, what's good, man? How you doing? One of my first is going to be an organic question, and I'm going to expect an organic response. So just to let y'all know, this is not like, something that we put together. There is no script to this. The script is being written and created as we conversing back and forth. It was a such thing before social media. It's just natural conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing I see, it's a brother I follow real quick before we get back. Let me jump off topic for a second. He covers a lot of boxing, and he coined a phrase, or he described it in a way that I loved. He said that he sees old media, that's the mainstream media, is their time is almost up. And the new media, the stuff that, they putting on Facebook, people doing their own research and all of that, is rising like faster than you ever seen before. Now, it still got problems with it and what have you, but it's on the come up. So in my mind, I'm taking that as a sign to say, wow, we getting back to something that's more organic again. Like, to give another angle to it, KRS once said, in hip hop, we was in the ice age for a little while. Like any ice age, nothing is necessarily growing, but we'll get back to the golden age again, the fresh vegetation of hip hop, and people will feast off of that when that time is coming. And I think that time is approaching a lot faster right now. But you had another post on social media that got a lot of attention. We spoke about it earlier about vetting. Could you describe that to the people real quick?
I was saying how it's important for us fathers to be around, not only for our sons, but our daughters need us too.
Absolutely.
Because in a sense, fathers, part of what we do is to vet the young men who become interested in our daughter once they become of age.
Right.
And I feel like, as a man, when a man knows that a woman has no support system, male support system, meaning uncles, brothers, father, he's more likely to do something unfavorable, because there's nobody there that he thinks is going to check him.
Right.
And I also say that when women date and they meet new men and they're disgruntled about their prior relationship, or they're disgruntled with the father of their child, it's not really favorable for them to be promoting that they're at war with this person.
Right.
Because that basically lets him know right off the bat, oh, okay, so he's probably not going to be a protector, because they don't even like each other. That means that if I do something in this household, even with this man's child is in there, it's just, you got to think about stuff like that.
I think a lot of women,
you can't give away all of these clues for the sake of trying to, prove to a man that you're disgruntled with your old person.
Without question. And I think that falls in line with chess. I speak about chess a lot in my conversations in my household. I'm teaching my little guy how to play chess now. I almost gotta like force his hand to play it. But yeah, when you do something like that, I think that leaves a lot of women at a disadvantage, and they just don't know it. And for whatever reason, rather they just trying to get an emotion off their chest or something like that, or not knowing that they're letting this individual know with said information that he can take advantage. To your point, I think that again points to how valuable or how important it is just to have male influence, even if the man is just around. Like I'll give you I'm just gonna paint like an unfavorable scenario. Young girl doesn't grow up with her dad. Young man doesn't grow up with one of his parents, whether that be mother or father. They get together. One of the first things they have the tendency to do is trauma bond or something like that. But even within that trauma bond, if they got something like that willingness to want to be better, if he's masculine and she's feminine, it's just certain things by nature you're gonna figure out just being around each other. Now, this is unfavorable. It's not like a situation that you want to see happen, but even if the two of you have that, you know what, we're gonna figure it out. Somewhere along the lines, like you come across like it's like God throwing a gift at you. Like, all right, let me throw you a tool that you can use right now. And I'm speaking from situations that I've heard, rather people that I've spoken to personally, and it was more confirmed by other people via social media that said, yo, I didn't meet my mother at all, and my father died when I was 9 years old. I met so and so, and we've been together since I was like 15, 16. And again, it's not a favorable situation, but even in that situation, masculine, feminine, they figured certain things out, and they created a productive life together. My grandmother, she gave me. I sat down and I went to fix her TV last week, and she told me again. It kind of just clicked this time that her father died when she was a little girl. She was about 7 or 8, and her mother died when she was 2, so she never knew her. You know what I'm saying? And then my grandmother goes off and marries my grandfather. And they had 16 children together, and he died when my mother was 17. So by that time she had a few children to help her out with the other children, but that's not a favorable situation. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of success that happened out of that. It's a lot of things that could have been more successful. But the one thing that I started to see, okay, my grandfather, all the stories I hear about him, he was a masculine man. He was a hardworking man. He had his ways. He died way too early in his life. I believe it was due to alcoholism. And my grandmother, she very feminine, but she had to be stern also. She never remarried, anything like that. Again, unfavorable situation, but somewhere along the line, I would have to say the majority of her children figured something out about progressing the family and just living a productive life. Now, again, in my personal opinion, we could have been more successful, but with the pieces that they was even dealt in an unfavorable situation, they was able to make something happen. So in essence, I'm speaking to like the hopeless mind right now that feels like, yo, I didn't have this parent or that parent. Yo, you're in the information age now at that. All you got to do is ask a question, and your phone is going to pick it up, and that will lead you down the path to whatever piece of manhood you need to pick up to be a better person, or womanhood you need to pick up to be a better woman. It's out there. And then you got examples of people that they out there. You just got to look for it now.
That's very true. When people talk about the long-lasting marriages of couples that have been together for, 40, 50, 60 years, for some reason, people think that these couples lasted this storm and their relationship was just perfect. It don't work like that. There was times when they didn't like each other. There was times when they slept in a different room.
Right.
There was, where they had to rekindle their friendship. It's like a cycle where you have to constantly make your way back to each other. Those relationships wasn't perfect. It don't mean nobody cheated. A lot of our grandfathers was cheaters.
Grandmothers too.
We keeping it all the way 100. Like when you see these successful relationships, don't think that they got there without nothing happening.
Absolutely.
It's just not. It doesn't go like. The difference is those people chose to actually carry out their vows and not break that union because of those things.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And again, that goes back to the question I asked earlier, or I proposed earlier about media playing an influence. I don't want to throw this brother
Is
under
chivalry
the bus.
dead? Who?
Oh, hold on. Let's get to that question
All right.
because you did want to ask that. You said is chivalry dead? I would have to say no because I'm speaking from experience of a person that is chivalrous. And even going back earlier before they called it chivalry, it was just a part of our rites of passage anyway to cater to a woman as a man and vice versa. Like I think that rites of passage is lost and it needs to be remembered or it needs to be conjured back up and put in front of people's faces. But I don't believe it's dead though. Why you? What's your opinion on that? I think you got a different approach.
Well, no, I think chivalry. I think for the. I mean, I think it depends on how you was raised, what generation you might come from, or whatever. Because some women don't even know how to accept chivalry. I was talking to my friend Jennifer the other day, who moved to Atlanta, and she said she had to learn to let the guys down there open the door for her.
Wow.
Because she's so used to opening her own doors.
Yeah.
And down south, she was saying the men are a lot different. And
Hospitable.
they're taken aback by how, and I don't want to say aggressive because that's just the New York, how New York she is.
Yeah,
They're taken
yeah.
aback by how New York she is, and she got to tone it down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I feel like this is my thing. Women still want a traditional man, but do they want to be traditional women?
That's a good.
Because chivalry is a part of tradition that they still expect.
Right.
They still want us to open the doors. They still want us to pump the gas. They still want, they still want us to do all of these things that are considered traditional.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I've told a couple of my female friends that's popping on social media, listen, I know you do this and this is the attention that you need in this business right now, but don't feel too surprised if certain dudes, the guys that you want don't want to take you serious.
Right.
Because a lot of a woman's value is still placed on how she presents herself to the world. And if you on the gram twerking,
Right.
doing this, showing a lot of body,
Man.
yes, men are still gonna have sex with you.
Yeah.
But we talking about marriage. If we're talking about him putting a ring on your finger, that's a different thing.
It's a totally different thing because at that point you expose yourself to everybody else. So it's nothing sacred about that. Like it's just to agree with your point for one, but to join in and add to that, it's a phrase I put in a poem that I don't like to showcase my bedroom business on the dance floor because everybody can see it at that point. And
Right.
where's the value on that sacredness, on something that you hold sacred to each other? All right, this is for me, for you, and for you, for me. I'm not talking about your past relationships, but just broadcasting yourself to the world. I understand.
Nobody wants a car that everybody could drive.
Right.
I'm not paying full price for a brand new car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Everything looks great. The body, it's got all the features I want in there. The rims I got on there. I'm paying full price, but it got 200,000 miles on it.
200,000 miles on it. That's crazy.
You gonna
That's
buy that
crazy.
car?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I might, if you're going to give me a discount on it, like a real discount or something like that, I might play around with it for a little while, but that's not something that I want to keep or put a ring on, if you will. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, but yeah, I think a lot of women confuse that sexual attention with somebody actually wanting to court you. And again, it's based on how you present yourself. Like, men are very visual. We not so difficult to figure out. We visual, but
We love promiscuous women because if
That's
it
true.
wasn't for promiscuous women, but do we want that promiscuous woman to be our wife?
Right.
See, men care about a woman's past, women care about a man's future.
Okay. I like that. I agree with that. Absolutely.
Especially when you in small town scenarios. You don't want to be feeling like if I walk into a certain room or a certain venue, no man wants to feel like there's 2 or 3 other dudes in here that possibly could have smashed my girl.
Right.
Period.
Especially in a small city like the Albany area.
He not
to your
going.
point.
He not going to be with it.
The value is not the same at that point.
Because what we don't want to do is be embarrassed. That's our thing.
So let me flip that real quick for ladies, because we still battling with this tradition and modern way of thinking, right? What's a woman's view on a man that has been promiscuous throughout time? Like, she walks in the room and it's 4 other women that he done has sex with in there. Like, I would love to hear ladies' feedback on that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what's said.
Okay.
What's said is that no woman wants a man that's not desired by another woman.
Okay.
Meaning that nobody wants that man that nobody wants. Usually when a woman chooses a man, you get some women nowadays that's smart and they'll be like, yo, I want the homely looking guy that nobody wants. There might be a whole other bunch of reasons behind that. But typically, if a man has 100 women under his belt, because there's so many prerequisites that a man has to meet to even get a woman's attention, let alone get in the bed with her, it'd be safe to say that amongst them 100 women, that man wouldn't be able to have sex with all those women if he didn't provide some type of value.
Some type of value.
He got to have some type of status, some type of value, his money long, whatever it is, the list of things we could say, he got to have something for that many women to lay down with him. Period. And that's because that's way harder for a male to achieve. It's different with women because women, it's like you're taking the option that's always there.
So let me ask you something real quick. Not to cut you off. You want? I'm gonna let you finish your thought first.
Now, I was just gonna say, if a man who can knock down a lot of women, it gets worn as more of a badge of honor because it's so very difficult for us
to be able to do that.
Whereas a woman, at any moment, all she gotta do,
they say yes.
all she gotta do is randomly pick who she wanna call, and somebody coming.
Somebody coming.
So
let me ask you something though. What does that say for the man that's practicing discipline? All right, this is a man that goes out there. He understands his value. He knows that he understands the women that like him. He knows those options, what have you. But he's more into the courting process or something like that. Would he be looked at as corny or gay or something like that because he's not out there trying to pursue these options? Like, he's exercising discipline, and it's not like it's not enough value placed on that. Like, what does that say for that guy?
I'm sure, depending on the way that he carries himself, there's probably women that's attracted to him too. He's just exercising his options differently. You know what I'm saying? I think whether even for the successful men that make the most money in the world, it's still hard to select a mate. Because now we got to figure out, do you want us for our bread?
That was something that I said to my wife early on, bro, real quick. I told her that, I wanted to find who I wanted to be with first before I collectively built my empire or, took whatever I was trying to do to the next level. Because if you're with me when I don't have all of these things, I know that you're really with me. And we building and creating all these things together. I know that's very opposite to how society has taught us to naturally operate, but
what, growing together?
Yeah, growing together, building and creating something together versus me going out to building my legacy and my empire and then going to select a mate. And I don't know if you with me for all the right reasons. I'm not saying it's been successful relationships that work that way, but something in my early adulthood, like late teenage, early adulthood, is where I wanted to do the reverse. I'm like, all right, I need to go out here and find somebody that I can really build this process with. And I know it's definitely opposite.
I mean, there's something to be said. There's a lot of rich black men who actually were childhood sweethearts with the person that they
Absolutely.
were married and had kids to. So
Right.
a lot of times you'll see, and that don't mean that those women don't be the quote unquote baddest chicks. Some of them be looking normal,
Right.
just from what you would expect from somebody with that makes that amount of money.
Right.
But so she's doing what she's supposed to do to hold down her position.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, a dude that makes that much money, 9 times out of 10, he's gonna cheat. He gonna exercise his options. You know why? Because men have to we have to build our status first. So when we build it to the point where women find us attractive and now we're the it person, we're gonna exercise it to the fullest, because it's kind of like this. And I got this analogy from someone else. Women, when they 18, they get to go into the candy store. They go in there, they figure out, they ravage all the aisles, they figure out what candy they like, they trying out everything, they trying the Skittles, the lemon heads, they find out that they don't like Tootsie Pops, you see them all over the floor, they don't like them, and then meanwhile the men are standing outside there for 7 years, watching them do whatever they want to do. Now the men finally get the chance to go in there. Now we're ravaging everything, not only the stuff that they do like, even the stuff that they left. We eating the Tootsie Pops too. You know why? Because we had to wait so long that we tearing everything up, because our sexual access does not start at the same time that a woman's sexual access starts.
That's a fact.
When a woman is 16, her sexual access starts. Whether it should or not, that's totally different, but she's probably got boys her age that want her, and boys and men older than her that want her. A 16-year-old boy, who really wants him? He ain't nobody yet. He ain't done nothing in society. He don't have a job. He don't got an education. He don't have none of that. Women are able to flex their value at a way younger age. So, the reason why we move like we move, because we got to build ourselves to even be attractive to a woman to get that type of access. So yeah, when we get it, we're going crazy because we had to stand outside the candy store for mad long.
I agree with that. I'm gonna speak to that young 16-year-old boy that has figured something out about communication, right? You know what? I'll put myself out there. I ain't gonna speak, between the lines, right? I was a 16-year-old individual, and I can't say I had the most options. I had options of females. There's a lot of different females that I was able to talk to and just get to know. Obviously, I don't have as many options as a woman. Like, at that particular time, she's the prize. She's the prize starting at 16 up to her 30s or something like that, if you will.
Up to about 30.
Up to about 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it starts to, when she's not a spring chicken per se.
Their value goes down as they get older.
Right.
Our value goes up as we get older.
It should. So somewhere along the lines, you're supposed to meet in the middle. But for that young 16-year-old that just understands chivalry, how to talk to a woman, how to communicate. I know Evelyn Champagne King, she make her love come down. See, a woman, I like to use the chakra system to describe what I'm talking about. She starts at the crown chakra, whether she knows it or not. And we start at the root, like, more primal, animalistic. His energy is supposed to come up and hers is supposed to come down, and we meet in the middle. Yeah, he's out there looking for a visual. He's eventually looking for sex, but he needs that woman's energy or discipline, if you will, to kind of civilize that. And I'm not describing it quite the way I want to describe it, but if he understands how to communicate without you even having 30 right now? Okay. Like, all right.